especially for Tony and Mighty God.
Implementation is useless. And so I'm asking the National College for Educational Leadership is committed to designing interventions to help all principals reach their optimal. The Virtual Instructional Leadership course is the latest in our suite of products. We are very, very pleased that you have decided to do this course, that you have decided to reach this stage where you have completed it. We're asking that you do not only use that knowledge for yourself, but use it within the school space. My colleagues, you would agree with me that knowledge without implementation is useless. And so I'm asking that you utilize all that you would have learned, that you implement the strategies that you would have indicated in the summative assessment and the blueprint, and also that you utilize these strategies and spread them across your school improvement plan. We would love to see some See It Now videos from you. We will be coming to you so that you can show the world what you have done based on what you have learned. We know that your problems are not necessarily technical, they are not necessarily well defined. And so we are listening to you. We are here for you. We want to know what your needs are so that we can design the interventions to fill the gap. Thanks so much for all that you do. And I'm asking that you utilize the tools that you would have been introduced to in modules 2 and 7 to ensure that your schools are equipped and ready to lead and go forward during this time and beyond. Thanks again, and we are committed to giving you even more. And so look out for all our other learning products that are coming up just for your development. Thank you. The National College for Educational Leadership is committed to knowledge without implementation is useless. And so I'm asking that you utilize all that you would have learned.
At UNICEF, we're very, very aware of the many different roles that schools play in our children's lives. Schools offer support, they offer encouragement, they do so much more than simply teach academic content. They help our students to grow and develop into competent citizens. At least we hope that they do, we want them to do that, and we're committed to helping schools do that around the world. This global pandemic has caused disruption that is unimaginable. None of us could ever have foreseen what has happened. For many students, teachers offer a stable adult relationship that is critical. Schools are a safe haven. This course is trying to find ways to help the over 600,000 students in Jamaica that have been affected by the closing of our schools' doors, the closing of the gates, the closing of the classroom. But even though the schools have been closed, schooling has not stopped. Why has it not stopped? Because technology. And the types of technologies and tools that this course helps you to understand, to become more familiar with, has come to our rescue, so to speak. So we've seen examples of teachers, ministry personnel, principals, parents going above and beyond to find creative ways to make sure that our children continue to learn in both offline and online modalities. This course helps you to better understand tools that are available to you, how to create an instructional leadership plan, one that involves content, access to certain resources that have been vetted and reviewed, recommended, also ways in which you can create learning plans and ways to administer and coordinate and supervise your team, your school teams. And so to that end, we find it practical and useful, and I know because I took the pilot. So I hope that you will find it to be similarly useful in your context. Schooling in the way that we've went before is over. We've entered a new paradigm and we have to shift, and we are going to have to learn to blend on and offline modalities in order to maintain public health and safety standards and find ways to engage our students, all aspects of our children. This course gives you the tools to do that in a user-friendly way. You take it at your own pace, which is also important because we all lead very busy lives. And it manages to keep the most important people, our students, at the center. So please enjoy it, please use it, please recommend it to your friends. Please also look at UNICEF Jamaica's website, business stories that are chronicling the innovative ways that our teachers, our students, our parents, our communities are showing immense resilience in the face of this crisis. So thank you very much.
Just on. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, my colleagues. Let me know that you're hearing me. All right, so thanks so much again and welcome to the launch of our virtual instructional leadership course. It is a privilege for us to have you here. We have right now 319 participants, and we are going to go full speed ahead in starting our program. Now, as we do everything at the National College for Educational Leadership and at the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, we start every single interface with prayer. Our God, the Lord Jesus Christ, is the center of everything that we do. And so at this time, Camille Michael Patterson will take us to prayer. Thank you.
Let us pray. Creator God, Heavenly Father, Abba Father, King of the universe, God, you have created each and every one of us in this space. And mighty God, we thank you for another wonderful day in the land of the living. Father God, we thank you for the technology that we're able to communicate this way, Lord, to launch this wonderful learning product of the virtual instructional leadership. Father God, we place each participant into your capable hands. Mighty God, we place all the members of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, our partners from UNICEF, Jamaica, mighty God. Lord, we just ask you now to partner with us, Lord. Lord, embed your presence with us during this launch ceremony, Father God. Lord, we just ask you to just open our hearts and our minds as we embrace this new virtual instructional leadership course. Father God, at a time like this, you have created this course, mighty God, to bolster what is happening in our system of education right now, Lord. And Lord, we know that this new knowledge and these new competencies and skills, mighty God, that these participants will garner, Father God, will help our education system to move, mighty God, through all that is happening and rise above it all. And so, Lord, we just thank you and we ask you, Lord, to just take the rest of this program and, Lord, just tabernacle with us. In the name of Jesus, we pray for a clear Wi-Fi data connections that will have this platform uninterrupted, mighty God. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Camille, for that. Just want to say, colleagues, welcome again to the virtual launch of our virtual instructional leadership course, a product that we are very proud of. And we're proud of it because of the different stakeholders that were part of its development. We're proud of it because of the rigor that attended to it. And we're proud of it because we are well aware that it is going to benefit you immensely. And so at this time, I want to pause to welcome our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Dr. Grace McLean, OD. She's on and she'll be speaking with us a little later on. I also want to welcome our country representative of the United Nations Children's Fund, Miss Mariko Kagoshima. I also want to welcome our education specialist from UNICEF, Dr. Rebecca Tortello, our Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Dr. Kassan Troop. Not sure if she's on, but she'll be joining us shortly. Our Deputy Chief Education Officers in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Ms. Dorrit Campbell, Ms. Terry Thomas Gale, and Mrs. Winnie Berry. All the members of the executive management team joining us right now, welcome to you. Our regional directors who have been just so awesome in facilitating this process. Members of the pilot cohort, I know you're here in your numbers. Welcome. All our principals, you are our immediate stakeholders. You are the reason why we're doing what we're doing. And we're committed to ensuring that we design interventions to fill every single gap that you identify. Specially invited guests, thank you so much. Members of the media are on, other representatives of the ministry, the team at the National College for Educational Leadership, the most awesome team. Thank you so much. They're not on the live, they're in the office spaces, ensuring that we free up space for individuals who may want to join. Welcome. And of course, any other individual who decided to join us on this journey today, we are indeed grateful. Welcome again. And so, my colleagues, I am going to continue the program expressing to you just how this idea came about and how is it that we have reached where we have. Now, the National College for Educational Leadership believes in engaging our principals. We believe in hearing their needs and their desires so that we can adequately respond to them. And I just want to plug that it is important that we understand that the NCEL had been designing and implementing online and blended learning approaches at least 3 years prior to COVID. Our CFS program, or Inclusive School Leadership Program, or Effective Principals Training Program, or webinars, or blogs, the Principal's Voice e-zine, the Digital Learning Series, which includes our back to school tips and tricks, are just some of the ways we have been bridging the gap with technology. And so when classes were suspended in the physical learning environment and schools were encouraged to use online learning platforms to keep students engaged throughout the period, we immediately started to think about how we would support you in your efforts to adapt and demonstrate your instructional leadership skills of managing instruction, curriculum, staff, and standards in a remote setting. And so how did we do it, colleagues? The first thing that we did, having conceptualized that you needed much more than empowerment, having conceptualized that you needed something that was sustainable, something that was convenient, something that was scalable, we designed a survey, and it was conducted across 3 educational categories: public schools, private schools, and our early childhood institutions. And we wanted you to give us the necessary data on the associated gaps in ICT that may exist, right? And what is it that may be required to fill that gap? We understand that when there is a challenge, we have to communicate with those closest to the problem. And so a survey was designed for you so that we could have enough information to guide the development of this course. I am proud to state that the response rate from the public schools was 24%, 15 and 14% respectively from the independent schools, reflecting a representative sample of the population. And certainly, colleagues, you would agree with me that the results of the survey were indicative of the ICT needs of the system and the need for sustainable solutions to build the ICT capacity of our school leaders. And so, based on the data gathering and the rigorous analysis that attended this process, we had enough evidence to conclude that our administrators needed more than empowerment, needed more than engagement. The data revealed that we needed to design a program that would equip you with the requisite competencies to lead remotely. We know that the ability to lead in this time will depend largely on your expertise with technology, the knowledge that you have of the various tools, resources, and platforms, and of course, the best practices of leading remotely. And so we knew that we needed to build on your technical, your social, your cognitive, and your behavioral capabilities. We knew that those had to be developed in order for you to lead effectively remotely. And so, my colleagues, the design of the course began. The team at the National College for Educational Leadership came together, and we were so privileged to have with us our partners from the United Nations Children's Fund on board with us. We gathered, we engaged in rigorous research to design what we now have as our Virtual Instructional Leadership course. The modules were carefully crafted and sequenced to ensure scaffolding and to reflect the principles of adult learning, which includes interdependence. We were careful, my colleagues, to include Maslow before Bloom, that principle, as our first module, as we know and want to continue to emphasize that leadership cannot be effective without genuine care for those whom we lead. We cannot get, my colleagues, improved students' outcomes and maximum support from our teachers without demonstrating that we care through our actions, but not only through our actions, through deliberate implementation of systems and processes of care. Maslow, as we all know, focused on the hierarchy of needs, and he focused on the hierarchy of needs and indicated that above all else, people needed to feel a sense of belonging, a sense of safety and security, and to be assured the healthcare, social, and emotional support before any other goal can be achieved. The NCL has adopted the principle, and we're communicating through this course that our leaders need to understand that teachers and students need their basic needs met before academic learning can be fully embraced. Essentially, we are saying that we need to ensure that there are safety nets as purported by Maslow before focusing on the taxonomy of educational objectives as posited by Benjamin Bloom. We then move on to scaffolding modules with module 2, which is education for the 4th industrial revolution, because we recognized, having done your Maslow before Bloom, having taken care of your colleagues, having taken care of yourselves, then you need to get into the business of the business, which is teaching and learning. And so the education for the 4th industrial revolution is your second module. We then scaffolded and we sequenced and we moved through to module 3, which is looking at distance learning as well as virtual learning environments. My colleagues, you are going to see the advantages and disadvantages of different forms of distance learning. You are going to explore strategies that support the transitioning of face-to-face lessons to online platforms. You are going to be so equipped with the skills and competencies to lead remotely that you're going to think, why is it that we haven't been doing this a long time ago? The second section of this module introduces virtual learning environments and explores those commonly used by our principals in Jamaica. And how do we know that those are the ones that you most commonly used? Because you told us so in our survey. We communicated with you first because you're closest to the problem. We then moved to module 4, where we use tutorials specific to the virtual learning environments selected by participants to develop your skills in creating e-learning experiences for your students. You will learn, my colleagues, how to log in, how to create accounts for teachers, students, parents. You learn how to upload assignments, how to use assessment tools and collaboration tools and organizing tools. You're going to be equipped with that language of distance learning. You're going to be so empowered so that your colleagues will come to understand the level of knowledge that you would have gained from us. In module 5, we help you to actually create these learning experiences. And so we examine the social learning platforms. This module introduces you to the concept of online learning while exploring various digital classroom tools for your teachers and your students. You're going to learn about the flipped classroom approach, the game-based learning, and other forms of digital assessment. Participants will be required to select digital tools that are compatible with their unique context. Yes, contextual, relevant, actualizing, and powerful. We then move on to module 6, where we expose you to a wide variety of digital collaborative tools that will enhance administrative duties from a distance. Participants will be exposed to tools for communication, data management, my colleagues, cloud storage, virtual professional communities, professional development, and virtual meetings. All of these things that perhaps were not very common to us will now become the common language across the education system. And our final module, module 7, explores the common challenges associated with remote work while supporting the principals in developing accountability systems to guide virtual engagement. And so, my colleagues, this course is power-packed. And we move to the prototype. The course is designed. It is done. It was piloted. It was successfully piloted by 45 participants, including education officers, principals and vice principals, other stakeholders across the system, my colleagues. You will hear more about the pilot later down in the program. And so the VIL is designed to last. It is sustainable. Why is it sustainable? It will be permanently available on the learning management system at the National College for Educational Leadership long after we have all gone, my colleagues. It will be there. It can be reviewed. It can be enhanced in keeping with the changes in policies, expectations, and technology. The course, my colleagues, is inclusive. Why is it inclusive? It can be accessed by our leaders with special needs. as we have embedded closed caption for the international videos and the sign language for the local videos. We have audios, my colleagues, for the essential readings, and we welcome the aides of our special needs principals to access and journey with them as well. I am pleased to indicate that today we have 7 special needs school leaders registered for this course. Colleagues, the course is convenient. What do I mean by it's convenient? It can be accessed at any time in your kitchen whilst you're cooking, on your veranda, in your bedroom, on the beach. Whilst you are going to work, you can be listening to the audios. It's free, absolutely no cost to you, and it is scalable. We can add resources to meet the demands of the system. We can alter it to suit the changing levels of demand. That is the product that the National College for Educational Leadership, along with the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, and the United Nations Children's Fund would have designed for you since March 13. We have been working on this, and we're very, very proud of what we are launching to Jamaica, which is more, my colleagues, than excellent to launch to the Caribbean and the entire world. Thank you so much for listening. I am now going to move on to hearing from our Permanent Secretary, Dr. Grace McLean. Thank you. And so Dr. McLean will be unmuted at this time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ingleton. Dr. Tanisha Ingleton, Director Principal for the National College for Educational Leadership. Company Representative of UNICEF, Ms. Mariko Kagoshima. Education Specialist of UNICEF, Dr. Rebecca Tortello. Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Dr. Kesson Troop. Chief Technical Director in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Ms. Barbara Allen. Deputy Chief Education Officers, namely Ms. Dorrit Campbell, Mrs. Terry and Thomas Gale, and Mrs. Winnie Berry. Members of the Ministry's Executive Management Team, Regional Directors, Education Officers, members of the pilot cohort, principals, specially invited guests, other representatives of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, NCEL, and UNICEF, members of the media, good morning. First, let me take this opportunity to thank all our principals and vice principals across the early childhood, primary, and secondary schools, and within the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, 6 educational administrative regions who have joined us for today's launch of the Virtual Instructional Leadership Program. For a number of years, the ministry has been encouraging school leaders as part of their personal development and capacity building to seek out and take advantage of training opportunities in online teaching and learning. The phenomenon of the COVID-19 pandemic has made this not just an option, but an imperative. Within this context, let me extend sincere congratulations and commendation to Dr. Ingleton and the team at the National College for Educational Leadership in collaboration with UNICEF for pulling together this training program to better prepare our school leaders in online instruction. The reality is, ladies and gentlemen, that the use of mobile phones, laptops, electronic readers, and other portable devices has become a part of the daily life of students and teachers inside and outside the classroom. We do know that for students, these devices are used more for entertainment and social networking than for academic purposes. At the same time, Studies have shown that while learners are able to complete basic technical operations and follow recommendations about information sources, they encounter difficulties in their attempts to transfer technical know-how to concepts, knowledge and content, and of course, knowledge contexts. This, therefore, has led to greater expectations of online teachers to ensure that not only do they teach content, but also that they ensure students are able to apply online resources effectively as part of their learning. Over the past 2 months, ladies and gentlemen, many teachers and principals may have felt that they have been thrown into the deep end of the pool and told to swim. As a matter of fact, some of our principals and teachers actually jumped into the pool and attempt at swimming. While they had some awareness of online platforms, it has been as much a learning experience for many as for our students. Current and future principals will increasingly find themselves in positions with responsibility for online leadership, with increased accountability for all administrators through governmental programs and increased scrutiny of online education during an economic crisis, and in this case, a health crisis. How principals meet this new responsibility will help to determine the online school's viability in terms of teachers' performance and students' learning. We know that leadership matters, and so this course will help our school leaders to develop the tools needed to guide their instructions in this new era. And of course, you heard Dr. Ingleton outlining the modules of this program and the exciting areas that as school leaders you will be pursuing. So ladies and gentlemen, leadership standards, students' learning, and classroom environments have changed and are changing. Online education has unique realities for which educational administrators routinely do not receive training. Administrators who lack specific online training may focus on quantity versus quality at times. For example, the number of times an instructor responds in the discussion board or using other platforms accordingly. Administrators, therefore, should be familiar with online learning as they prepare to evaluate teacher performance and students' learning in this new environment. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it is not about the quantity, it is about the quality and the learning interaction and experience during this period. I think we can all foresee the likelihood of more virtual classrooms and online teaching, and certainly not less. We recognize, of course, that in our context, a lot more needs to be done with internet infrastructure and with added equipment to bring more of our schools and students into the online experience. The ministry, ladies and gentlemen, is committed to do all we can to ensure that we provide the facilities and the support that we know will be required for us to have an effective online system that is complementing the face-to-face education system. We are confident that under the capable guidance of Dr. Ingleton leading the NCEL team, that our leadership training will be effective and we will see our principals being able to comfortably operate within an online space. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on this groundbreaking program that was developed in lightning speed, I must say, and is being launched today, I encourage you to participate fully. I encourage you to tell others about this program so that those who can do it in their kitchen, on the veranda, in the bedroom, wherever you are, in the office, within the schoolrooms that you participate in this program and try to benefit as best as possible. If we were to have gone to a hotel this morning for the launch of this program, I am sure Dr. Ingleton would have had challenges in actually seating over 422 participants. Today we are online, and I am sure there could be another 500 or more participants that could actually be a part of this launch. And so, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to all of you for joining in this history-making, groundbreaking leadership program. And special congratulations once more to Dr. Ingleton, the team at NCEL, and UNICEF, who has come on board to support this program. I wish you all a successful training, and we look forward to the many positive spin-offs that we will have from the training of our school leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Grace McLean, our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. We are now going to hear from our country representative at UNICEF, Ms. Mariko Kagoshima. We will unmute Ms. Kagoshima at this time.
Good morning. Will you be able to hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you perfectly.
Okay, let me see if I can start the video. Okay. Good morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic is far-reaching beyond health sector, and it's affecting almost all aspects of our lives, not only in Jamaica, throughout the world. And the education sector is not an exception. This rapid shift to remote schooling in education sector poses a challenge for school administrators, as they are expected to adapt and demonstrate their instructional leadership skills of managing instruction, curriculum, staff and standards in an online setting. Their ability to lead instruction effectively in a virtual space will depend largely on their expertise with technology and knowledge of the various tools, resources, platforms, and practices of leading remotely. Therefore, the principal's technical, social, cognitive, and behavioral capabilities must be developed to effectively lead in a virtual setting, and that is exactly what UNICEF, in partnership with the National College of Educational Leadership and the Ministry of Education, Youth, Information, has been able to do with a very short turnaround time. The course is consistent with the ministry's priorities to employ information and communication technology as key 21st century tools to improve educational outcomes at all levels of education system. Specifically, the course supports principals management and supervision of teachers using e-learning platforms. It gives a strong foundation for teaching with technology, including strategies for instructional supervision, responding to ministry's reporting obligations, and supporting professional development and sustainability of the school's e-infrastructure, while putting students and their families at the center of it all. We thank NCEL team and principals who participated in the pilot for their commitment and contributions, as we seek to find our way into a new normal of teaching and learning that will remain with us as we return to school in September. One thing we are very sure of this is that virtual instruction and leadership will continue to play a pivotal role. We know too and appreciate that this course has regional applicability. We look forward to a positive response to what we know is a useful and timely course, and we wish to commend the NSEL team and the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information for moving so swiftly and thoughtfully towards providing this level of support for school leaders, nation and region-wide. I know that we will come back stronger and better with this implementation of virtual learning and teaching instructions. Let me close this remark by wishing you a very successful training. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mariko Kagoshima, the country representative from UNICEF. Thanks so much for partnering with us. Thanks for all that you do. We are truly grateful. I'm also seeing that Mr. Vicente Terran, the deputy country representative, is in the meeting, and we just want to take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Vicente Terran. We are now going to move to our Director of Programs, Dr. Cheryl McLaughlin, and Dr. McLaughlin will present on the feedback for the course pilot, as well as touch on some features of the course. Dr. McLaughlin, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, all. Would like to just at this time acknowledge the persons who are in the meeting this morning, the Permanent Secretary in the MOEYI, Dr. Grace McLean, the country representative of the UNICEF, Ms. Mariko Kagoshima, Dr. Rebecca Tortello, Mr. Vicente, who is also here, the Chief Education Officer, Dr. Kassan Troop, the Deputy Chief Education Officers, Ms. Dorrit Campbell and Mrs. Terrian Thomas Gale, members of the EMT, the Executive Management Team, regional directors, EOs, members of the pilot cohort, the principals, specially invited guests, and members of the media. Special good morning also to the NSEL team this morning for being here. This morning, I'm going to be reporting on the pilot. The pilot, of course, is something that is a feature of the development of our courses. Before we make our course available to our participants, we ensure that it is carefully piloted and all the issues are dealt with as much as possible before we release the course or before we make it live to the other participants. So I would like to use this opportunity also to say a very big thank you to the 47 members of the pilot group. I'll be telling you a little bit more about their demographics in a very, very short while. And I just really want to thank them for giving their feedback that was able to make the course really what it is today. I want to share with you a little bit about the members of the pilot group. Members of the pilot group were mostly female. It was 72% to 28%. I must tell you before I even go on a little further that at the end of the pilot period, the participants were asked to respond to survey questionnaires. And of the 47 persons who participated in the pilot, 43 of them responded, resulting in a 91% response rate, which I think is really, really very excellent for any survey at all. So the data that I'm giving you now is the respondents, is data for the respondents, the demographic of the respondents, which I think is a very, very good representative of the entire pilot group. And so we had 72% females and 28% males. And this may appear shocking, I guess not, to many of us, but this is actually what the school leadership looks like in Jamaica, where it's predominantly females. And so this is just that representative of the wider society. In terms of posts, we had 19 of the respondents who were principals. Certainly the pilot group was made up of mostly principals, but there were 12 education officers who opted to be a part of this pilot program. We really welcomed their perspectives, and we thought that it would be good for them to actually experience the course, as they are the ones who are responsible for supervising the principals. We had 11 vice principals. We had 1 immediate past principals, but I also want to point out that we had other partners who were involved in the pilot, namely 2 representatives from UNICEF, Dr. Tortello and Ms. Samantha Gale. And then we had some other stakeholders who were past principals, past EOs, just to widen the sphere in terms of getting a wide perspectives for the feedback. So that's what our demographic profile looks like in terms of the current posts. In terms of the school type, the majority, of course, came from the primary school. 48% of our respondents were from the primary school, 43% from the secondary school, while we had 7% from early childhood and 2% from the special education schools. Also want to point out as well that we had members from independent schools. We had from the early childhood schools, as I mentioned before. So again, it's a wide cross section, I believe, of the leadership in the school. In terms of region, we had representatives from every region. We had the most coming, of course, from Kingston, Region 1, followed by Mandeville, the Mandeville region, Region 5, and next in line we had Region 4, where we had the highest representation of principals who participated in the pilot. Now, in terms of our the response that we were seeking, we were looking to get response in terms of the online learning platform, also in terms of the course assessments, also in terms of course design and delivery, as well as in terms of the course content and the material. So those are the 4 main categories that we try to get information from or feedback from. So we're going to start off by looking at the online course platform. We sought to find out if the online platform was user-friendly, and you will see that all the participants either strongly agreed or agreed that the learning platform was user-friendly. Our learning platform, of course, is a Moodle platform. It's called Ignito, and the platform is quite easy to manipulate and quite easy to do troubleshooting. We have had very little issues in terms of difficulties navigating the online space itself. While some persons may experience difficulties logging on, the learning platform, we typically find to be extremely user-friendly. The other thing we try to find out is whether or not it was responsive and easily navigated. And you do know, when you're getting, when you're trying to get feedback, sometimes you're trying to get the same information, but you ask it a different way, just because you want to get a fulsome response. And when asking this question again, we found that over 90% or over 95% of the pilot participants found that the platform was indeed responsive and easily navigated. They found that troubleshooting issues with the course platform required minimal effort, and that the text and pictures and the videos and the audios were of fairly high quality. In terms of the course design and delivery, we found that most of the participants found that the instructions were clearly communicated, and that facilitated the ease of understanding the content of course. They found that the learning outcomes were clearly defined and that they were relevant to the objectives of the course. They found that the method of delivery was suitable for the audience and suitable for the concepts that were delivered. And they also thought that generally speaking, the content, the videos were aligned to the contents and the realities of our locale. Now, just want to mention in terms of the delivery, we are aware of our adult audience. We designed the course specifically based on what we know about our principals. And so as a result of that, this information, well, this informed our design process. And so I think that contributed to the positive feedback that we got in terms of the design of the course and also the delivery. The course contents and materials, all of the participants found that the content was relevant, that it added value to their professional practices, and that they at some point will be able to use this information in order to ensure improvement in their school, especially during this really, really very unusual time. They found that the course materials were relatable, and this facilitated the ease of comprehension. Basically, this also enabled them to learn quite a bit from the experience. We selected the course materials from open source. They were carefully curated. We got a lot of support from UNICEF in this regard, because they were able to share some material that we probably ordinarily wouldn't get a chance to find. And so we really want to acknowledge their support in this particular area of the course delivery. Now, in terms of the course assessment, our course assessment, we use varied ways of assessing the participants' knowledge and skills, their development of knowledge and skills. We used online discussion forums. This is a way for the participants to co-construct meaning, to get a chance to reflect on their practice and also in order to share best practices. We also included an assessment strategy that we call peer or collaborative learning, or peer assessment, peer review, where we have partners, accountability partners, so to speak, and we have the participants reviewing each other's work. This we found to be highly effective during the pilot process, and it has now become a very, very big feature of the course. We use recall quizzes specifically to measure knowledge gained, and also to support the retrieval of knowledge and to increase the mastery of the participants. It was not designed to be punitive. It was designed to be developmental, and so participants are able to retake the tests after they've taken it one time. The summative assessment actually involves action planning that will give participants a chance to plan for the future of their schools in terms of the reopening and what the teaching and learning will be looking like when they get back to school in September. And so this also is a very, very important part of the assessment strategies and activities. There's another thing that we have included for the rollout, and it's a feature of the course where having implemented what they have learned from the course, they will now be able to share this with other principals in the form of videos or voice notes or photographs, which we will be storing in a toolkit to make it available for the other participants as they go through this learning process. So having said that, most of our participants found the assessments to be varied in terms of types, and the fact that it addressed all domains of learning, most of our participants agreed. They thought the assessments were clearly written and easily understood. Most of them thought that the assessments were directly aligned to the course materials and also to the learning outcome. They also believed that the assessments catered to their personal learning objectives. They were appropriately placed and paced to ensure the retention of learning. Most of our participants believed that to be the case. Most also believed that the assessments were relevant and of good quality, and as a result, many of them were able to score very highly on the recall quizzes, and they were also able to contribute posts that were of a fairly high quality, and where other persons were able to respond and to share their experiences. Now, in terms of the best features of the course, as indicated by our pilot participants, they really, and this is not in any order, it's not in sequential order or order of importance, but many of our participants highlighted the new knowledge and skills that were developed in terms of navigating technological tools. They feel now a lot more confident moving into the next school year. They believe that they will be able to just tackle the underlying issues, or whether or not they're underlying any issue that they are going to be facing. They are more confident now that they will be able to face those issues as it relates to adjustments to be made to the teaching and online space when they get back into their schools. Many of the principals also highlighted the Maslow before Bloom, the leadership approach that NCEL is promoting in this time of crisis. They believe that if they lead with care, then the productivity levels will increase and they will achieve more success in the projects that they hope to implement in the schools. The participants were also pleased with the local videos of best practice, which we presented as part of the course feature. The local videos highlighted their own colleagues, Mrs. Janice Jalal of Denby High School, Mr. Raymond Treasure of York Castle, Mr. The principal of Fern Court High, Mr. Thomas, and also the principal of Prattville Primary, Mrs. Tamika Swaby Johnson. And so the fact that they were able to see their colleagues actually explaining their, the initiatives that they have put in place since the start of the COVID crisis, they thought that it was very practical and it was easily adapted to their own unique contexts. They also mentioned the multiple modes of learning, the audios, the videos, and so on, and the readings. They were really, really very pleased with that. They thought that it added a little spice, and it took away from what could have been a monotonous learning experience. So these are some of the featured aspects. We highlighted the ones that had a larger consensus, and those were, if we were to pick the top 4, those would be the top 4 aspects of the course based on the feedback from our pilot principals. There were some areas of concerns, as would be expected. Most of the pilot participants thought that the completion time was significantly understated. And this we have addressed. We are very responsive to the needs of the majority. And the majority thought that the completion time, which we had stated to be just about 14 hours, that was understated. We really want to thank the pilot group though, because they completed the course, I think, in a shorter time period than the launch participants will. They did it in about 3 or 4 days, while for the rollout, the principals are going to receive a 10-day window, a 7 to 10-day window in which to complete the course. So even though it is self-paced, we're asking, we have to ensure that the cohorts complete in a certain number of days so that we can accommodate the large number of principals and vice principals who are just waiting in line to take this course. Quite a few of the participants found that a few of the audios needed to be a little bit more refined, and this we did for 2 of the modules. We improved on the audios. We would like to thank the pilot participant who assisted with this, Miss Anita Bailey. We would like to use this medium to really thank her for assisting and for lending us her beautiful voice to refine the audios that were in need of refining. Now, as was expected, quite a few of the principals spoke about the large volume of reading. And this is an area where we choose to, where both the principals and NCEL, we choose to agree to disagree on this point. We find that our principals, they tend not to like reading. And when they see information, they tend to become easily overwhelmed. But normally, as we do in the NCEL, we do our research to get a sense of what is reasonable in terms of the volume of reading for an online course. Again, we believe that the reading is sufficient for the nature of the course. We have provided the audios for persons who do not want to sit and look at the words. And I think that this is a huge support for persons who are unwilling readers. But at the same time, like we always do, we encourage our principals and our vice principals to become willing readers. And it's by reading that you're really going to expand your knowledge base. It's by reading a lot that improves your writing. Reading a lot improves your ability to speak extemporaneously and on all different matters, improving your willingness to read. I can't stop to tell you how much benefits you can gain. And so on the point of number 3, we have not removed any of the readings. We found that they were all highly important. And what will happen is that as you go through a course, because we provide support, you're going to find that there's going to be one matter that builds on a previous matter. The 4th one was that module 3 was too intense. The participants found that module 3 was a little bit long. And so what we did was that we split it in 2 discrete portions, and we call them, they were given 2 different titles. And so we have 3.1, which is distance learning. And this sectional module, what it does, it clarifies some of the nuances surrounding different terminologies that we commonly use for distance learning. And so, for instance, online learning and e-learning, these are terminologies that we normally use interchangeably, but we have provided for you in this module a glossary of terms that will show you the little differences between like online learning and e-learning, and also between the LMS, which is the learning management system, and the virtual learning environments. So we know that this is going to be really, really very useful, so that as you start to speak the language of distance learning, you'll really become aware of these little nuances, so that you will select the correct term to use to match to the context of what you are speaking about. So we split this module in two. The second module now looks at the virtual learning environments. And so this portion of the module will focus on the Schoology, the Google Classroom, and the Edmodo, which based on the survey are the three top learning platforms being used now by our principals in the schools. We also went on to revisit the instructions provided for assessments. I think it will greatly clarify any of the little gray areas that existed in terms of what is expected. This again is really just a sample of the concerns presented by the pilot participants. We really made every effort to adjust or to address them as much as possible, just to ensure that the learning experience for the new cohort, which will begin in exactly an hour, will be a lot more pleasant. And so again, as I close, I would really like to thank the pilot participants. You have been really, really very, very, you have been a valuable element to the production of this course. And we know that the participants who will experience the launch will thank you for this. And we would like to thank you and to congratulate you for being the first to complete the course. And of course, you will be receiving your certificates in short order. So thank you again, as I go back now to Dr. Ingleton.
Thank you so much, Dr. McCluckin, for that comprehensive report. Really, really want to just add my own thank you to our pilot participants. You have been amazing, and you have taught us so much. And we really did enjoy working with you in our VIL pilot group WhatsApp platform. Thanks again. We are going to be taking our pilot participants now who will be speaking to the impact of the course. But just before we do that, we want to give you a sneak peek of the learning management system, the Ignito platform, the Virtual Instructional Leadership course. We just want to show you what it looks like, colleagues, when you go on. It is user-friendly. It is pleasing to the eyes. You'll see, could we just go back to top? You will see our banner there representing the course, and you will see a welcome video from Dr. Rebecca Tortello, who's our partner on this journey. You will also see a video that's introducing you to the course and the various principles and so on, who you would have captured throughout. There is a course outline that we want you to read, so please do not disappoint us where this is concerned. And we also have a frequently asked questions. So anything that you're thinking of, you know, you can just go there and it might very well be there. If it's not there, you can just send us a WhatsApp and we will update accordingly. We're very proud of our first module, Leading with Care, Maslow before Bloom. So we want you to be speaking the language of Maslow before Bloom, ensuring that you take care of the needs of your teachers, your students, and yourselves before focusing on full force teaching and learning. We're just going to give you a little sneak peek of our very first video with some of our principal colleagues.
In any kind of emergency situation or crisis, self-care becomes very critical. It's important for us to look at the emotional and psychosocial aspects of our stakeholders. So for us at Denby, We focused firstly on a Denby High family check-in, which is a survey that really asks families how they were coping during the pandemic. We wanted to find out some of the issues that they were dealing with. We also sent this out to our staff. And so from those surveys, we were then able to respond.
Psychosocial support is of paramount importance, whether we're learning remotely or physically. We saw the need to ensure that a psychosocial support team is put in place, so we utilize the opportunity on a daily basis to offer the kind of support to our students, to our parents, and also to the teachers. The Guidance and Counseling Department is responsible for this initiative, so each day, coming from the guidance counselor's desk, we share tips, strategies as to how these stakeholders can manage during this time. The guidance counselor, along with myself, we are in all the WhatsApp groups, we are on all the platforms, so we ensure that on a daily basis through WhatsApp, through Google Classroom, we share strategies, we share tips as to how they can manage.
Thank you, colleagues. So that's just a sneak peek of aspects of Module 1. Certainly you have readings, there's a summary as well, and there is an assessment. And so we have just ensured that everything is right here for you so that you can go out and lead boldly. Then we have our Module 2, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and you can continue to scroll up for me, or Module 3, and I'm sure you're seeing your principal treasure here is featured very much in Module 2, along with our other principles. We have our assessment pieces, we have our readings, we have our reflection, the discussion and post areas. We have the distance learning modules. We broke it up so you could see distance learning as opposed to virtual learning environment. And coming up, you will see our Module 4, which deals with creating e-learning experiences or social learning platforms. All of that is there, really, really beautiful to navigate. All the audios are there. We also have or Module 5, Module 6, which is the collaborative tools for school administrators. And so you're going to realize that your language will change dramatically. Having done this module, there are so many collaborative tools out there that, you know, you're going to find that there's just so much that you can be doing with your students and your teachers. And of course, we have our Managing Remote Employees module, which is the last module, very, very powerful module. It is in this module that we have the e-management tool that was developed by the Ministry of Education. We have Ms. Dorrit Campbell giving you just a little overview of this particular tool, and certainly the user guide is also there for the tool so that you can use it to ensure the effective management of your schools. At the end of it, we have the summative assessment, which is really a school leader's template for leading remotely. And you have been given the opportunity to select a peer, another member of your cohort, to work through with this particular assessment. Also, I just want to add to all our 444 participants now viewing online and those connected with us via Facebook, that we have developed what we call in the National College course support managers, because we have to manage over 1,500 individuals doing this course. So every individual is in a WhatsApp group, cohorts 1 all the way up to 15, and we have 100 persons in every WhatsApp group, and there are 2 course support managers managing those WhatsApp groups, helping you along the way, ensuring that you have no technical difficulties, journeying with you, communicating with you, connecting with you. That is how much we value you and your leadership development. And so, colleagues, at this time, we are going to go to our pilot participant. The first up is our principal or education officer, Mrs. Janet Walsh Davis, a giant in the pilot cohort group. We are so happy to have had her on this journey, and she will speak to the education officers and the principals about what this experience was like for her. So could we just welcome Mrs. Janet Walsh Davis at this time? We'll unmute her so that she can start her presentation. Thanks so much.
Chairperson, Dr. Tanisha Ingleton, Director, Principal of the National College of Educational Leadership, Dr. Grace McLean, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Country Representative of the United Nations Children Fund, Ms. Mariko Kagoshima, Education Specialist from UNICEF, Dr. Rebecca Tortello, Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Dr. Kassan Troop, Deputy Chief Education Officers in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Ms. Dorrit Campbell, Mrs. Terrian Thomas Gale, and Mrs. Winnie Berry, members of the Ministry's Executive Management Team, Regional Directors, Education Officers, members of the pilot cohort, principals, specially invited guests, other representatives of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, NCEL and UNICEF, members of the media, a pleasant good morning. It is indeed a privilege to share with you this morning on the occasion of this groundbreaking and relevant professional development course spearheaded by the National College for Educational Leadership. On behalf of the pilot cohort, I must express our gratitude for having been selected for piloting this course. It has been an awesome journey. The wealth of information, the depth of knowledge, and sharpening of skills that the course provided has by far exceeded our expectations. During this time of education emergency, the high standard of leadership, self-care, empathy, the mastery of virtual leading environments, communication systems, and quality of collaboration, distance supervision strategies, and social partnerships required for remaining relevant can be found in the 7 modules of this program. As we traverse through the course, we learn firsthand how to effectively lead our teams remotely. My presentation this morning is evidence of virtual shared testimonials across the regions through remote collaboration. I am sure that all of us here today acknowledge that we are change agents. We must become change agents as we embrace the new normal of distance learning. There is no better investment that students, parents, supervisors, and communities can make than an investment in education of the highest possible quality and a system that can be sustained in normal times as well as in emergencies. Since our educational stakeholders look to us for leading the process of returning to normalcy safely in the shortest possible time during this emergency, we must be ready to lead our teams remotely as effectively as we did face-to-face. Education for success in the modern world must have the ability to use communication and information technology and creative thinking skills. The 4th industrial revolution requires it if we are to remain relevant. Technology is a pedagogical catalyst. It can make good better, but it can also make bad worse. We are now more ably equipped to offer our supervised school leaders more options in online learning. Our school administrators, middle managers, and teachers must continue to hone their digital capabilities and stay ahead of our students and other stakeholders in policy and practice, as well as epitomizing the concept of Maslow before Bloom. The impact of this pilot program is life-changing and has left an indelible mark in our minds. It was innovative, meaningful, practical, actualizing, cutting edge, and timely, providing relevant and noteworthy options for instructional leaders. Technology is the future of how learning will take place in a world where distance and emergencies are no longer impediments to learning. We are preparing students and leaders to be lifelong learners, flexible employees, and innovators in this, the 21st century, that prioritizes the use of technology in education. On behalf of the Officer Corps, I extend heartfelt gratitude to everyone engaged in this partnership for the provision of a seamless, transformative tool to support our quality education circles, one school at a time, as we navigate the virtual landscape and create healthy digital citizenship. We pledge our continued commitment to the business of education and our fulfillment of our Ministry of Education, Youth and Information's mission and vision, the Sustainable Development Goals and Vision of 2030, and to make our beloved education system the vehicle for creating outstanding, responsible, virtual citizens, making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. To the team at the National College for Educational Leadership, I say thank you. Thank you. Continue leading Jamaica's educational leaders into the 21st century and beyond. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Janet Davis. It was our pleasure to have you, and I'm sure your participants are just clapping and celebrating you right now. We're now going to listen to our independent schools principals rep, Ms. Tamar Mackenzie, another excellent member of the pilot cohort. We're going to unmute her now. So let's listen to Ms. Tamar Mackenzie. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. All protocols observed. I'd like to thank the NCEL team in partnership with UNICEF and the Ministry of Education and the leadership that we have seen and the tools that they have provided to us as school administrators. When our doors physically closed on the 12th of March, we were all called to provide or to operate at a level that we have never had to before. We were all presented with different challenges that were overwhelming, to say the very least. And I do think that with the efforts we have made, combined with the program that NCEL has positioned for us, we will truly be able to meet the needs of our stakeholders without disruption. And we will also be able to provide equity within the services that we're providing amidst the challenges that many of our students and teachers are having. It was Warren Buffett who once said that it is only when the tide goes out do we discover who has been swimming naked. And we have really seen this firsthand within education.
We have truly been able to see and learn from each other in this program, the best practices of our colleagues. We have been able to connect at a different level. We have been able to share with each other and to really model best practices that would apply to us in our different sectors. I would like to thank the NCEL team for including independent schools in this journey with you, because as private operators, our challenges are very unique, and our challenges sometimes are misunderstood by even our very colleagues within the sector. And what we have been able to be a part of on this journey has truly been one that is life-changing. Our schools and operations will never be the same. The inclusivity that has taken place has opened doors for us, and it has exposed us to the necessary mechanisms that we would need for us to transition. As we prepare to continue our programs online and even to reopen our doors, I am sure, I am confident that the tools that we have been privy to, the training that we have received, and even the encouragement from our colleagues will position us to appropriately meet our needs. I would like to share with everyone the example that has been set for us by the team at NCEL. We started our program learning about Maslow before Bloom, and the fact that our leadership cannot be effective or efficient without us demonstrating genuine care for our stakeholders, without us acknowledging the challenges that our students, our parents, and even our teachers may be facing. NCEL shared with us and rallied with us as school administrators to ensure that we were not only ready to learn, but we were able to learn. The team followed up along this trend at the end of the program with a presentation that was most inspiring. It was one that reminded us of the need for self-care. It was one that called to action for us to now implement the information that we were exposed to. And by them setting the tone for us, it has forced us as school leaders to also operate on this same trend. For us, when we're re-energizing our staff as they return to work next week, to really consider their self-care, to really consider where they are, the challenges they're having, and to speak to the purpose in our teams. For us to look at the challenges that our teams may be having and to dutifully look to resolving them. Because without our first responders being ready and able to support us, we will have no success and our programs will not be launched effectively. And I'd like to thank the team for teaching us that and for ensuring that the example was properly laid out. I'd also like to draw on the distance learning and virtual learning options that we're presenting. As school leaders, we would have already explored different channels that would have suited our demographics. We would have already been implementing different programs to facilitate our distance learning. What was presented in this module, I found to be very impressive, because what we had exposure to was various models and forums, as well as the advantages and disadvantages of each of them. We were able to see the features, and more importantly, we were able to see how they would apply in different contexts. And so for me personally, I was able to benefit from looking at other options that we did not have the time to explore, and to look at the benefits that those options would have brought along with them. This allowed us to now retool and to re-implement other mechanisms that could benefit our demographics. So for example, at the Heinz Simonit School, we have been using a school's portal that is powered by a regional company, Smart Term. After engaging and completing this module, I was able to develop other systems and use other interfaces to support weekly staff trainings and even to support our reorientation for parents and students who are now onboarding differently as we prepare for schools to reopen. These tools and forums that we were able to now use were from the information that we had access to from NCEL. And this I found was very impressive because it really reduced the turnaround time for us to research and train our teams. We really had it foolproof presented to us. And this was something that I do think that all of us can benefit from. The last point that I really want to share is the sustainability of the virtual instructional leadership course. It has made its presentation so seamless and so accessible that we will be able to learn, grow, and develop from the tools and mechanisms shared. In that, as school leaders, we were called to create an implementation schedule which would bring quality assurance. As educators, one of the major challenges that many of us would have is implementation. And implementation when our critical teams are split across various areas, as many would be working from home. This schedule created a matrix approach which would allow us to track, record, and even assess our rollouts and our initiatives. So rather than us briefly sharing or documenting what we hope to do, NCEL has created the space to hold us accountable, to ensure that the necessary support can be provided even after the course has ended. For me, I think this is groundbreaking because we now have a partnership established for both private and public schools to ensure that we're always growing and thriving. Colleagues, this program is one that will change the face of education. It is one that has truly been a reignition, as we will never operate how we used to operate. Our landscape has forever changed. And as we brace for this fourth industrial revolution, our sector can be one that would be leaders as we change our engagement, as we change our delivery models, and as we ensure that all of our students, all of our teachers, while we physically return, and for some of our classes that continue online, that we will deliver as we promised in September of 2019. NCEL, we thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mar Mackenzie. It was a pleasure having you, and we want to continue to have you. So you know that you are a permanent staple, right? With us going forward with all our other leadership development interventions that are coming full force. We really did have a great pilot group. Thanks so much again, Ms. Tamar. We're also now going to call on Mr. Darian Henry, who is representing the public schools principals. We're going to unmute him now so that we can hear from him. Let's welcome Darian. Principal Henry.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, Principal
Okay,
Henry.
great. Good morning, everybody. Chairperson, Dr. Ingleton, Permanent Secretary, Dr. McLean, Country Representative, Ms. Kagoshima, Education Specialist, Dr. Tortello, Acting Chief Education Officer, Dr. Troop, the Deputy Chief Education Officers, members of the Ministry's Executive Management Team, Regional Directors, hardworking education officers, the esteemed and awesome members of the pilot group, fellow principals across the sphere of education, specially invited guests and other representatives of the ministry, NCEL, UNICEF, and of course, members of the media, a pleasant morning. Today represents a significant shift in Jamaican education. NCEL has brought the entire sphere of education to the global arena. Certainly, the course in virtual instructional leadership was very timely. In fact, in my view, it represents a seismic shift in pedagogy. The pilot group were brought front and center with the very latest nomenclature in teaching and learning in a time of crisis. It's called pandemic pedagogy. I took some time to research. I took some time to reflect upon. What this represents is a new era in teaching and learning. And as my fellow colleagues had espoused just before, teaching and learning will never be the same. Teaching and learning has been evolving for quite some time. And certainly COVID-19 has exacerbated the evolution of education. This course is timely and is relevant because it embraces the new normal. It represents sustainability in education. And this is what education has to represent, sustainability. So in 20, 30, 40 years, we'd see a course of this magnitude evolving to embrace what it is happening at the current course in time. The program is progressive in my view. NCEL must be heaped with praise because nowhere else that we can find something of this magnitude, this training course of this magnitude that is enabling school leaders to have the kind of skill necessary. Navigating the virtual environment in a time of a pandemic crisis is not easy. I can tell you, colleagues, within the first week of school closure, I was in personal shock. But it took me about a day or so to reflect upon what is our purpose. Colleagues, it never stops. Teaching and learning never stops. And even though we have issues with trying to find our children, to have them brought to the platforms that we have available, it never stops. The challenge is for us to help our young people to have that mindset. This course has done precisely that. It has done precisely what it ought to do because this is where we're going as a society. The most profound part of this course, though, was the Maslow before Bloom. It brought me back to Teachers College. It brought me back to the fundamentals of pedagogy. But so what is important is taking care of your staff, taking care of yourself, and taking care of the welfare of your children before teaching and learning can be effective. This has to be the norm. This has to be the norm in teaching and learning. Taking care of all that is necessary before teaching and learning can be effective. Certainly, the module on the fourth industrial revolution is quite in order. In fact, I can tell you, the groundwork has been laid for us to enter on the fifth industrial revolution. It is not too far from now. The times are changing, teaching and learning is changing, and certainly school leaders are to be changing as well. As I close, I must say that the issue of access and equity have been answered, and it will continue to confound us as educators. As we go forth into the new normal, we must ensure that the access to the curriculum, access to the technology, access to teaching and learning are foremost in reaching children in the virtual space. Equity must be added to that as well. What we're finding now, and I'm speaking from the heart here, is that there are some people who are of the view that education should be for the privileged. A course like this prepares our leaders to ensure that all across the board, education, the curriculum, all that is necessary is made equitable for all. The course is highly recommended. I recommend that every single school leader across our island put their minds and hearts together and be a part of this course, to become certified, to become better skilled in leading our teams, in leading our schools, in leading the teaching and learning process. For the incoming cohort, lots of work are there for you. Module 3 is there waiting for you. I can tell Module 3 took me a day to complete. And Dr. McLaughlin made an important point that school leaders must find the time to absorb new knowledge. This morning, I downloaded the latest research in race and education. And as you can realize what's happening in North America now, this is going to be interesting going forward. So I implore educators, take the time to absorb knowledge, absorb with a sense of understanding, and absorb that with a sense of goodwill to ensure that our children will be impacted. I wish all well. Thank you so much, NCEL. You have done extremely well. You have done so much well for me in the past. This is another opportunity again for me to use this kind of skill to ensure that our children are being impacted and so that our country can be a better place for us to live, work, raise our families, do business, and flourish in the name of Jesus. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Principal Henry. Thanks so much for that. You forget the retire part. Indeed, that was amazing. Colleagues, we are going to be presenting to you the pilot cohort. But before we do that, we just want to share with you briefly just what the audios sound like. You know, we don't have any entertainment for this launch, and so we want to just plug in the different modes of learning. You know, we were very, very purposeful in ensuring inclusivity and individualistic learning methods. And so we're going to listen to just any module. We could go to module 2 and hear the voice of module 2, Miss Anita Bailey, reading through one of our readings. Let's see. If not, we can go down to module 3 and pick that up very quickly. All right. Okay. So let's click on this one. This is another feature, which is our animation feature, because we know that we have different kinds of learners. So let's hear now. We're sharing screen. We're hearing. Let's go. Okay. Lovely. So we have the animations, we have the readings. All right, so we'll just click on one of those two so we can just hear what the audio sounds like for our participants. Okay, let's hear. Are hearing?
Advantages of e-learning, author Sander Tam. The benefits of e-learning are numerous, and despite all my best efforts, one article was not enough to highlight all of them. That's why I decided to selectively pick out the most important advantages of e-learning. These are the benefits which set e-learning apart from other learning methods and which I consider to be the most important of all. These are the 10 most important advantages of e-learning. Online learning is self-paced. E-learning is student-centered. E-learning is cost-effective. Individual learning styles. Customizable learning environments. E-learning fully utilizes analytics. Online learning could solve teacher scarcity. E-learning is environmentally friendly. No need for textbooks. Online learning is time efficient. Online learning is self-paced. Students.
Okay, so that's just a little piece of our audio. We have individuals reading, the likes of Anita Bailey, you'll hear her, our education officer. We have Mr. Philando Neal as a reader. We have Miss Monique Kelly as a reader. We have Mrs. Tony and Rankin as a reader. These are NCEL staff members, colleagues. These are individuals within our own spaces. And you have yours truly reading as well. And so we just want you to know how much we plugged ourselves into this product, because we were mindful of the individuals that it would be benefiting. And so we gave our everything to it. And at this time, we're going to be presenting to you our pilot cohort. This is their graduation. So this is their virtual graduation. They will get the hard copies of their certificates in short order. So let us begin. And I'm going to ask you to send your little emojis, your little clap hands and congratulations via the chat. Let's go. Audio. So we will begin with our very first graduate. Could we have Miss Anita Bailey? So we're going to start with our education officers. Anita Bailey, education officer and also reader in our virtual instructional leadership course. Just look at her and how beautiful she is. Colleagues, could you just give her a round of applause for me? Send through those claps so we can see them, please. We have education officer. So that's Anita for you. Listen to the graduation song, colleagues. This is all virtual. This is the way we are now going to be operating. Our principals can take note for their own online graduation that they will be planning. Now we have education officer Shamara Brissett. Look at her with her lovely self, part of this pilot, very effective officers, amazing people, pulled each other along the journey. So let's just take a couple of seconds to give Shamara Brissett, education officer Brissett, all the highlight that she deserves. Right, we're holding up for Brissett. All right, so let's hear some music for her. Can we hear some music for her? No? Okay, let's move on to our next graduate, Mrs. Candalee Crooks-Smith. She has been elevated, I see, in this. Ms. Crooks-Smith was former principal of Allentown Primary, and she is now overseas, and she is doing so well in Canada, and we thought it prudent to have her on the pilot because she would have done so much work with technology at the Allentown Primary, and she did an amazing job on the pilot, giving us some really great feedback to improve the product. We are now going to move on to Education Officer Julia Edwards. Such a pleasure to have her in the group. I see the clap hands going up for Officer Edwards. Brilliant, just wonderful, all the support that she gave to her team members. We're now going to move on to Education Officer Latoya Johnson. And Ms. Johnson, I see the clap hands going up for her. She was very active in the pilot group and really pulled her team members along, really gained even more respect from her team members. Brilliant. We are now going to look at Education Officer Christopher Carr. That's Officer Carr right there. Was a pleasure to have him on the team. I'm seeing the clap hands, colleagues. Let's cheer them on. These individuals were amazing. They completed the course in about 4 days and really helped each other along. Moving on now to Officer Patricia Mumbi-Layler, so beautiful, so enabling. We were happy to have her on the journey. She would WhatsApp messages, you know, she would call, and, you know, she just supported us along the way, and we're very, very proud of her and that she decided to be part of this. And we have another officer, Officer Louise Lawrence Rose. She is in the United States pursuing her doctorate in education. I can't wait to officially call her Dr. Louise Lawrence Rose. She was part of the pilot. She was a great encouragement. She connected with her colleagues, and she really supports the National College and helps us on our journey. We thought it would be prudent to have her, given that she's in a new space, experiencing different kinds of technologies. She could really provide us with some great insights, and she did. Moving on, we have our officer, I tell you, Education Officer Suzanne Sims, such a giant support. Or Officer Suzanne Sims. Moving on, now we have with us another education officer, and you heard her. She represented her team so very well, Mrs. Janet Walsh Davis. This lady is a real support. This is the real deal Maslow before Bloom lady. And we are just so proud of her and how I saw her one night responding in the group, telling everybody to send through their summative assessment so that she could look at it for them, you know. And she was just amazing, and we're very, very proud of her and her heart and her leadership and what she brings to the table. Moving on, we have our principal cohort now, principals and vice principals. And first up, we have vice principal from Fern Court, or vice principal from Fern Court, Mr. Malon Anderson. Thank you so much for being part of this course. Your principal is heavily featured in the course, and we are grateful that you could join him on the journey. Moving on, we have, I tell you, virtual is virtual. We're learning along the way. We have Principal Mabel Charlton Brown of Hampton School, and she was one of our stars in the Aspiring Principals program and did so well, and she's now leading the Hampton School, and we're so very proud of her and her work. Thank you so much, Mrs. Charlton Brown, for journeying with us yet again. We also have Principal, we're advancing for you, Vice Principal from Anchovy High, Lauren Dennis Rowe was part of the group with us and really a great support. We thank you, Vice Principal Rowe, for being with us on this journey. Moving on, we have, as part of our team, Principal Shay Dillon. I tell you, he is the technology expert. If you see what he's doing out there on Facebook with his school, just awesome work. And we're so very proud of Principal Dillon from Constant Spring Primary and Junior High. We're following you, we're encouraging you, and we're happy you're part of the NCEL family and that you're part of the Ministry of Education. Keep on going, you have our full support. Moving on, we have our Vice Principal from Morant Bay High, Mrs. Marsha Ford Bryan, and she's also one of our stars in the Aspiring Principals program and doing such great work out there at Morant Bay High. So very proud of you, Mrs. Ford Bryan. Moving on, we have with us Mrs. Christine Hastings Lumsden, Vice Principal of Central High School. Such such an awesome individual, such a great lady, really a great support, and just watch out for her and all of the things that will be happening at Central High School. We really value her, and we're happy that she was able to join us on this journey. Moving on, we have Principal Darian Henry. You heard from him already. He's part of our Aspiring Principals program. He's part of our Child Friendly Schools program. He's our facilitator for public speaking. He's part of our Effective Principals Training Program facilitation team. Just amazing, Principal Henry, how you have embraced professional development and advancing, moving forward in such a great way. Moving on, we have Principal from Waterford Infant School, Miss Marcia Henry. Great to have you journey with us. So happy for you and everything that you're doing out there at Waterford Infant School. Let me see the clap hands going. Mrs. Walsh Davis, I know you're leading this, right? Moving on. So we are going now to Principal Jalal. I refer to her as Queen Jalal. She is heavily featured in our Child Friendly Schools program. She was a star in the Aspiring Principals program. She is featured in this program looking at modules 2 and 7 and doing such a great work out there at Denby, a great principal support, a great colleague, an individual who shares, who celebrates the success of others. And we're proud of her and everything that she has been doing. Let's see the clap hands, Mrs. Walsh Davis. This is your thing. All right, moving on to our principal, Tamara Mackenzie. Such a beautiful lady, such a warm heart, such a great spirit. It was a pleasure to meet her. I remember that first day we had that meeting with the pilot cohort and just the way that she questioned, seeking information and wanting to ensure that the private schools would have this benefit of the products that the NCL is offering. Such an awesome individual, and we're going to be working with her even closer as we go along. Let me see those clap hands coming up, Mrs. Walsh Davis. Moving on now to our vice principal from the Queen's School, Mrs. Trudy Morrison Reed. She is a star in our Aspiring Principals program. She also works with us on the public speaking, and she also worked with us on the Principal's Voice magazine. This is an awesome lady who has been journeying with NCL for a very long time and is just excellent in everything that she does. Congratulations to you, Principal Morrison Reed. And we have Principal Dwayne Mulgrave from the Discovery Bay High School, and he has done so well, hasn't he, Mr. Neil? Really, really great work, and he's a great support too. And that's what I love about this pilot cohort. They're collaborators, they are strength spotters, they are risk takers, and we're very, very proud of Principal Mulgrave and his work out there at Discovery Bay. We're watching you on Facebook, Mr. Mulgrave. We're seeing the things happening. Moving on to Vice Principal Janet Peinado of Spanish Town Primary. She's also a star in our Aspiring Principals program and did so well and doing such great work out there at Spanish Town Primary, and is even now more equipped to go and lead this charge of remote learning. Very, very proud of her. Moving on, we have Principal Claude Rowe of Waldensia Primary. Let me see those clap hands coming on. Really has done well. He has been in our multi-grade school leadership feature, and he has been journeying with NCL, and we encourage him to continue on the great work that he has been doing out there in Waldensia Primary and Infant. Moving on to Principal Tim White Shaw. Look at him from Highgate Primary. Did really, really well. He did so well in both rounds of the Effective Principals Training Program. So he has been with NCL, journeying along the way, and we're proud of him. Moving on to Vice Principal Venetia Simpson Brown from the Brinkley Early Childhood Institute. Very happy to have her with us. She is one of the representatives from the Early Childhood Institute on the pilot program, and we are so grateful for her representation. Moving on, we have Principal Michelle Ann Smith Brim from Burnham Wood Primary. Such a beautiful soul. She was also in our Effective Principals Training Program, so she is not new to the National College. She has been journeying with us a while, and we're proud of her. Moving on to Principal Laverne Stewart from Anchovy High. You would have seen Principal Stewart in our features. As soon as the COVID pandemic hit, she was one of those principals that we called on to help to support the other principals in terms of the work that she would have been doing over there at Anchovy High. She was also part of our Aspiring Principals program, a real star, I must tell you, and she's doing so well now at Anchovy. We're proud of our principals. We love our principals, them bad. We love them. Okay, moving now to Vice Principal Lucien Suba from Belfield High School. So very happy to have her on the journey with us here at NCEL, and she did very, very well in this course, and we're proud of her. Moving on to Principal Tamika Swaby Johnson from Prattville Primary and Infant, another APP star here. Let's see the hand clapping, Mrs. Janet Walsh Davis. And she's also featured in this course, looking at, I think she's featured in modules 2 and 7, looking at the Maslow Before Bloom psychosocial support, as well as remote or managing remote teams. Just excellent in terms of the work she's doing out there at Prattville. Big up to Region 5, Region of Champions. That's where she's coming from. I know I'm going to see the hands for Region 5. So we have Principal Omar Thomas of St. Annie's Primary. And we're so very proud of Principal Thomas's journey and just the way that he was part of this pilot group. He was also part of the Child Friendly Schools program. So these individuals are not new. And an APP, look at him with his APP canister, doing so very well. We're proud of you, Principal Thomas, and the work that you do. And of course, our Principal Sheldon Thomas from Ferncourt High School. Sheldon Thomas has been part of the Aspiring Principals program. He's been part of the Child Friendly Schools program. He was featured in this course, and he would message me all the time, letting me know all of the child-friendly principles that he has been utilizing at Ferncourt. He has been utilizing the knowledge and implementing the strategies, and we're so very, very proud of you, Principal Thomas. Moving on to Principal Tyndale from the Porous Infant School. And Principal Tyndale has been with us in the Aspiring Principals program. He is such a support to his own colleagues. I watch him, I see how he scaffolds, I see how he encourages, and we're watching him on Facebook too, and all of the fancy work going out there in Porous. We see buildings and all kinds of things going up. Principal Tyndale, we know that you are doing well. Moving on to our Principal Faitlin Walters Mailer of the Upper Rock Spring All Age. She is all NCEL. She would have done the Child Friendly Schools program. She would have done the Effective Principals program. She would have done the Aspiring Principals program. And now she's doing the Virtual Instructional Leadership course. She would have put up all kinds of fancy things around her school from the CFS. She would have implemented from the EPTP. When we go to Upper Rock Spring, all we see is the National College for Educational Leadership. Mrs. Faitlin Walters Mailer, you're a true ambassador, and we're proud of you and the work that you're doing out there in Region 4. Excellent work. Moving on to our principal, Mr. Talbert Ware from Donald Quarry. So very proud of Mr. Ware. He has been supporting us from the onset. He's on our Effective Principals Training Program. I can call him anytime to be part of the panel for the Aspiring Principals program, for the defense panel. He would rummage through the portfolios. He would sit those long hours to ensure that we are training individuals at the highest. Thank you so much, Principal Ware, for all that you do and for all you're doing out there at Donald Quarry High. We have Vice Principal Shirley Williams from Stony Hill Primary and Infant. We're so very happy to have Vice Principal Williams with us on this journey. She did very, very well, and we're so proud of her. Moving on, we have Principal Carlin Williams Heat from Park Mountain Primary. She was in the Aspiring Principals Program. She was in the Effective Principals Training Program. She was in the Back to School Tips and Tricks. So many different interfaces, and we're proud of her. Quickly moving on, we have our partners. We had Miss Felicia McLaughlin, former Vice Principal of Kendall Primary and Infant Department, doing so very well. She is now overseas and doing well, and she was a great part of this pilot journey. We have other individuals who were part of the journey with us. We had Mr. Sadfa Bennett. We had from the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information in the Curriculum Department. We had Mr. Alton Deckett from Region 2. Sharon McKenzie, Education Officer, Region 2. We have Oral Ray, Education Officer. We have Ms. Cheryl Dixon from Alvernia Preparatory. We have Ms. Samantha Gale of the UNICEF, and we have Ms. Dacia South from Low River Primary, as well as Dr. Rebecca Tortello. And so colleagues are very, very, very proud of our educational leaders who decided to be part of this rigorous, because they got more rigor than you will get. The 500 that will be joining us at 12 noon today. They got much more rigor. They had to do much more work because they were not only doing for learning, but doing for editing and correcting. And so we're grateful for them. So Jamaica, this is our pilot cohort, the first set of graduates from this brilliant product, the Virtual Instructional Leadership course. Thank you so much. And we're now going to hand over to our Chief Education Officer, Dr. Kassan Troop, for the closing remarks. So we're going to unmute Dr. Troop at this time for closing. Thanks so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the NSEL team. It is indeed my joy to have participated in this exercise. I feel so connected, Dr. Ingleton, to the persons that you just recognized, you know, for those persons who would have ensured that the course is ready. I mean, brand excellence is a part of NSEL, and your participants would have made certain of that. I am extremely proud of our educators. Permit me to just greet our permanent secretary, Dr. Grace McLean, our country representative of the United Nations Children's Fund, our education specialists, of course, our Deputy Chief Education Officers, our regional directors, all other education officers registered on this program, our members of the pilot course, our principals in cyberspace, all specially invited guests, other representatives from NSEL and UNICEF, and members of the media, good afternoon. It is indeed my joy to bring the closing remarks at this wonderful occasion. Colleagues, the education system went into a frenzy. It was sudden, we were disrupted, but we were never daunted. Because of who we are, how responsive we are, and the lovely educators we are, we were able to see the opportunities in this pandemic, i.e. crisis. And we decided together that our Jamaican education system will stand. The Ministry of Education quickly, colleagues, went into what we call education in emergencies, a response. And in so doing, we had a lovely opportunity of pulling all our agencies together. So seeing the work of all our agencies trying their endeavor best to respond to this crisis. To in full-fledged united team. She does nothing in any ordinary
confident that this course will kind of codes that are effective and can stand in the 21st century. So our team hard work to develop.
We're hearing Dr. We're hearing Dr. Troop. All right, I'm not hearing Dr. Troop. Just send a quick message if let's see a quick message if you're hearing her or not hearing okay. So we're gonna have to try to reconnect with Dr. Troop. We're trying that shortly. Just hold on a second for us participants. Let's get Dr. Troop back on the live, okay?
Thank you, Dr. Ingleton. Right, so we had a little glitch there just now, but in continuing the remarks, I just want to thank Dr. Ingleton for providing the full overview of what went into the development of the empowerment program for our principals, and of course, our vice principals and other school leaders who will definitely benefit from this program. NCEL has developed and delivered what we call a first-class program. You would have heard from, I think, Mrs. Walsh-Davis, who testified to the fact that the program is cutting edge and innovative, and the Ministry of Education is extremely proud. I want to thank, of course, our permanent secretary, who, of course, reinforced the need for quality leadership in our institution. And of course, our permanent secretary reiterated the fact that this is very important for the way forward for our institution. Thank you, Dr. McLean, for making that profound point. I want to thank, of course, Ms. Kagoshima, who expounded on the relevance and how pivotal this course is for the 21st century leadership and for a responsive education system. We are very grateful. Dr. McClacking, you took the time to go through the pilot experience. Now, we are grateful for that because that is where the learning took place. For us to experience this excellent project and empowerment program, we had to go through a process, and you would have benefited, colleagues, from the feedback. You would have benefited from some experiences that went into making sure that you have an excellent product today. Thank you very much, Dr. McClacking. Dr. Mrs. Janet Walsh-Davis, Tamara McKenzie, and of course, Darian. Where could we be without the experience of the persons who participated in the course? You testified today, and that is what is really important. It's not about us saying what we have done. It's about those who have been the recipients of the program, who can stand, who can testify to the quality of the engagement, to the quality of the development and the program that we are going to be rolling out. We are grateful for your contribution today, colleagues. We are proud that you represent the best of us, and today you can testify to the quality that all other educators in our system will experience going forward. Thank you all the who participated in the pilot. Graduates been announced, and you have got your certificates.
of the program. We are really proud. We commend, this was needed, it's relevant, and you took a chance with us, and we are grateful. Congratulations to all of you. Because they're confident that as a result of this learning, who will develop institutions, virtual spaces. We are grateful for what is to come because of this, what I call innovative invention. We are grateful is to come from our principals who will make sure that our students, who are our key stakeholders, can fit in, can stand within the 21st century. Colleagues, the Ministry of Education is extremely proud. Dr. Ingleton and the NSL team, we say kudos. We know what you have invested in this. We know the sleepless nights. We know the sacrifices. And that is why we can say we are extremely proud. And we say congratulations to all of the persons who invested. Congratulations to all of the persons who allow themselves to be a part of the pilot, this novel activity. And today we can boast about it. We are extremely proud of our partners. Dr. Tortello, I don't know where we will be or where we would have been without you. You have been there from the beginning of this EIE response plan. You have been tweeting, you have been WhatsApping, you have been volunteering, you have been coordinating with all our IDPs, and we are grateful for UNICEF. Thank you, colleagues. The ministry is indebted to all of you. We are extremely proud, and we are looking forward to the quality students. We are looking forward to innovators in education. We are looking forward for what is supposed to be a brand program with excellent outcomes and students who can transform this country. God bless you. Over to you, Dr. Ingleton.
Thank you so much, Dr. Troop, for all your support. Thank you also to all individuals here. I just want to close out. I see you, Mrs. Walsh Davis, I see you. I just want to close out letting you know that the course is open to our first 500 individuals who have registered. It will run between now and the 10th of January for the 10th of June, sorry, for the first 500, and then we'll move on to the second 500 on the 15th, all the way down to the 25th. And so just in case people are asking you why they're not on, it's because they're not in that first 500. Remember, we have to manage everybody and take you seamlessly through the journey. So everybody will get a chance to do this course once you sit in the chair of a principal or vice principal or acting principal. Once you have that leadership mandate, you will get an opportunity to do this course. Thanks so much again, Dr. Cheryl McLaughlin, for all the work that you did in the creative design. Mr. Philander Neal, Ms. Tony Ann Rankin, Mr. Kerry Fogg, oh my God, colleagues, Mr. Jamie Russell, Raquel Hyman Mitchell, Sutana Hemans, all of the NSL staff members were plugged 100% into this course, developing assessments, doing audios, researching, designing, navigating. It was just an awesome experience for us over COVID. And we are now post-panic. Even though we're in this whole idea of pandemic pedagogy, we are post-panic. We are going Maslow before Bloom. And I need to hear the language of the Maslow before Bloom really dominant on the lips of our school leaders as we seek to take care of ourselves, of our teachers, and of our students. Thank you, colleagues, and have a great day. This recording will be available on Facebook if you want to see it again. Thanks so very much, and we will now be exiting. All right, and if there are any questions from the media, we'll take those. If not, we will certainly connect with you afterwards to ensure that you get everything that you need for your release. Have a blessed day, my colleagues. Coming in, so grateful. Thank you for all your hard work and commitment. I'm seeing the comments and they're very encouraging to us. I see from Rebecca, thank you for all your hard work. I'm seeing job well done. I'm inspired. Great job, Doc. Excellent team, Encel. You're a force to reckon with. Excellent presentations. Yes, colleagues, we are grateful. Thank you. Thank you for always leading the charge, Encel. So proud. Excellent job. I'm seeing you, Prince EO Layler. I'm seeing you. Proud, awesome, proud graduate I am. Colleagues, these comments are so encouraging to us. We really appreciate them. Inspirational. I thank you. Thanks so very much.
The National College for Educational Leadership is committed The National College for Educational Leadership is committed to designing interventions to help all principals reach their optimal. The Virtual Instructional Leadership course is the latest in our suite of products. We are very, very pleased that you have decided to do this course, that you have decided to reach this stage where you have completed it. We're asking that you do not only use that knowledge for yourself, but use it within the school space. My colleagues, you would agree with me that knowledge without implementation is useless. And so I'm asking that you utilize all that you would have learned, that you implement the strategies that you would have indicated in the summative assessment and the blueprint, and also that you utilize these strategies and spread them across your school improvement plan. We would love to see some See It Now videos from you. We will be coming to you so that you can show the world what you have done based on what you have learned. We know that your problems are not necessarily technical. They're not necessarily well-defined. And so we are listening to you. We are here for you. We want to know what your needs are so that we can design the interventions to fill the gap. Thanks so much for all that you do. And I'm asking that you utilize the tools that you would have been introduced to in modules 2 and 7 to ensure that your schools are equipped and ready to lead and go forward during this time and beyond. Thanks again, and we are committed to giving you even more. And so look out for all our other learning products that are coming up just for your development. Thank you.